Hey, this is Kristen, and it's time for Late Night Love. We'll take a look at what the vibe is between you and someone else. Could be someone that you've left behind that you don't want back, but there might be some insights that remind you about how much you've learned and how you want to move forward. This could be if you're with no one and you're dreaming. You're dreaming about what you want moving forward. So let's just see, what are the combined energies between what's coming in? Passion. So there's a lot of passion here. There's a mutual sharing of what we need physically to feel like we're truly aligned with someone. This is allowing yourself to reveal yourself slowly in a very emotionally intimate way, taking a pause, really sharing what's on your mind, feeling present enough, and maybe feeling present enough for the first time in your life to really listen to what someone is saying to you and not get dysregulated by what they're saying, not to jump into, grabbing the old evidence from the old stories of the old relationships and, events from the past. This is someone who you're dealing with who has been on a journey that they've come to recognize that they want to explore what commitment really means, what it truly means to bond with someone, again, on an emotional level. But with the string here and the tying of the string, it's this physical sort of grounded, practical thing that you can see. They don't want to hide anymore. They want to, this person that you're dealing with wants to explore what it's like to really tell everybody in their life that, they're dating someone or they're really interested in someone. And that, bringing that into your life makes you feel even more trustworthy of the guidance system that you had in leading up to this time that you're spending with this new person. And it's being, not being afraid to be vulnerable. And in that model, making someone else feel like they can be vulnerable with you as well. That it's okay to come to the table and discuss what is really meaningful and what relationship really means to the both of you, perhaps for the first time. And let's see, what is hidden beneath the surface of this person on your mind? What's hidden beneath their service? Past lessons. So you're with somebody who is really taken the lesson of how they've allowed their boundaries to be overstepped by somebody in the past. And sometimes when we are with people and they've allowed their boundaries to be trespassed, they're overly protective, or they want to back out or kind of shy away or disassociate or do these things like, you don't hear from them for days and days and days. Or maybe you've been dating someone 3 months and you would like it if you could text, just in the morning to say, hi, how are you? And 6 days go by and you have no idea if you're even going to see them that Saturday night. And this is somebody who's recognizing that They need to establish their own rules around what relationship means for them, based on what lessons they have learned and choices that they made that maybe weren't the best choices, but to not put that on you, to not make them not want to commit or to explore or to say, yeah, like, I'm with this person. I don't need to, go back on an app and, keep scrolling around because maybe there might be somebody better or somebody else looks good. I had a guy once say to me, a friend of mine say that he was dating this woman and he took himself off the apps because he knew that he would, you see someone and they look good and you kind of get tempted to call, and he's like, no, or to reach out to them or to explore it, or, I've only been seeing this person, 2 or 3 months, I can just do a coffee date. He's like, no, I'm really liking this woman. I really want to get to know her more and really go a little bit deeper because there's something there. And I don't want to put myself in a position to see other people's photos and to kind of, get distracted by that or be tempted by that. So I think there's a person that you can feel this vulnerable with, that you can start revealing yourself more intimately with, but in the time that feels right for you. And what are some insights around what you might be hiding? What you might be, maybe there's like this little edge of wanting to explore something that makes you feel uncomfortable, but there's a little bit of fear or anxiety around it. So let's take a look at it and just see what it is and talk about it. Self-evasion. I accept myself as I am. I think, you're hiding, you can hide to yourself how fabulous you are sometimes, or really, how fabulous you can be for the right person who's, right for you, as opposed to trying to fit yourself into, what somebody else is looking for to some degree. Or it's this over-compromising thing. It's, I'll give them this shot at this, or yeah, I really didn't like that, or that question that they asked me seemed a little bit too intimate, too soon, or I've been on 3 dates. Why are you asking me about, I don't know, all my kinks in bed? I mean, not that there's anything wrong with talking about that on the 3rd date if that's what you want to, but there seems to be this something about wanting to slow something down and wanting to not throw sex out on the table right away and to have it be all just, just about have the passion be on a more emotional level, as opposed to this jumping into the fire, full steam ahead, and then burning yourself out. This is accepting how you want a relationship to go and the pace that you need it to be, and that somebody has to respect and honor the pace that you need. And in exchange, you'll respect and honor the pace that they need. And then there's like that dance in between, like the breathing in and out in between, and the mutual understanding and respect about, okay, there's something here, there's something that I'm feeling, like there's something really good that feels here, So I'm gonna really respect what this person needs and wants, and vice versa. And again, perhaps this is, it's been a while since you have felt that way. It's been a while since perhaps they have felt that way. And maybe that's something that's going to be revealed pretty soon. You also could have just come out of a relationship that was like that. And even though it may not have continued on, it really it really integrated this sense of, oh yeah, I've had that experience. That's what I want. I want more of that. And yes, that didn't work out and it's okay. And, we're both moving on, but I had this experience that was so radically different from what's been happening, in the recent past, that it's like, now I have this embodied feeling of it. And now I really know what I'm looking for. I'm really super clear about it. Let's see what other insights. Let's see if any of these stories continue or if something else wants to come back. What else for all the lovelies watching today? So you might want to be you might be reviving something. This is also, I think, a revival of what you really want, a revival of the self, a revival of the dream of romance, a revival of, what commitment really means to you. Maybe you've had this experience where it's just, it's a little bit embittered. Sometimes we get a little bit jaded, and we don't mean to and we don't want to. And it can be, if somebody else has I feel like, what I see in this portrait here, this feels like somebody who is hesitant to me. And if you've been around people that are hesitant, we have to also look at that maybe we're hesitant in some way as well. And so when we are, they have a hesitance and then we're kind of feeling into that hesitance and then, you feel hesitant to even kind of, express yourself and to really talk about, where you want things to go. But you have to really bring yourself, you have to, it's like a revival and a re-understanding and in a way a transformation, but a transforming back to the natural self when it comes to what you always dreamed about wanting, and taking what you've learned in your wisdom, of course, and mixing and matching and allowing things to shift and change. But what was it that you originally felt? Perhaps it could be a couple of years ago, it could be 20 years ago. Have you lost that sense of adventure or wanting to jump in, wanting to go on all these different dates and all these different people because it feels like a dredge and it feels like work? Well, what if you really could think back to those times where you were really enjoying yourself and you were really just out there having fun? Maybe it was a younger time, however old you are, and allowing yourself to go back in there without dragging in perhaps the recent past, which could be, I went on 20 different dates on an app recently and they weren't good. Remembering what you're calling in, and where are you not listening to yourself from the very beginning of when someone communicates with you. Because usually you can pick up right away on someone's vibe and where they're going. I mean, maybe not instantly right away, but, certainly within, it could be a couple of days, it could be a couple of weeks, you get that feeling. And instead of trying to somehow fix it or make it work or feel like, well, we have a good time and I'm just going to go out anyway. It's what was that excitement that you had? And if you don't, in the past, and if you don't have that excitement, then don't continue on. Because you're looking for somebody who is exploring their own leadership, who is not afraid to be very grounded. This is also a very passionate person, but they're creative, they're a leader, they have structure. They can be stubborn. You might be dating someone who's very different than you. Perhaps they are somebody who kind of jumps into things. and they're very passionate. Perhaps they're very romantic. Um, they have a strong sense of who they are. This could be somebody that for some reason you're kind of thinking they're ahead of something. Maybe they're very, very successful, or maybe you started a new business and you're making a career change, and this person is sort of at the top of their game, and they're almost at a point where, you know, they've achieved the highest level of where they want to go. I think that you've got someone on your hands that actually really is enjoying and finds pleasure in wherever it is that you are on your life path. And there's something about you that kind of revives a playfulness in them, especially if they are someone who is extremely successful and has a lot of responsibilities and feels like they have to be sort of like a hard-nosed, stubborn person in their professional life, or even in other areas of their personal life, if they have exes, if they have different family members. But there's something about the experience with you that almost feels like they're in high school again. Kind of like I feel like this promise ring energy, or this thing that, you know, you're tying. It's like a very young love kind of energy. There's a young love kind of energy over here. And it's reminding them of how they've grown from their past, or what they don't want from their past. So you need to embrace that people really can just fall in love with you for exactly who you are in whatever place you are in life. You don't have to be at that perfect place. You don't have to have everything together. You don't have to have, you know, the perfect job and it's set up perfectly, or everything has to be, at the height of what you think it should be. Like, I'll be ready for a relationship when, and that list of stuff. And there's someone that has come in, or this person that you're manifesting in, that you are calling in, that you are dreaming about, is a person that really isn't going to care about any of that stuff. And you have to realize that the essence of who you are, when you are just being present with yourself and just being present with the person, being vulnerable, allowing them to be vulnerable. I think this person feels a vulnerability with you. They have an emotional experience with you that is quite different from other experiences that they've had in the past. It makes them feel like a kid again, but you might be experiencing a sense of, this feels too childlike. Like, shouldn't we be having more conversations about what we want, as a commitment a couple of dates in? And I think that with this situation, it's okay to let it go and just have fun. You have the beginnings of something here. And it's okay to not, to let someone reveal themselves to you as well. And to feel into when the time is right to ask for a little bit more of what you want, to express what your needs are, but to not go into the relationship thinking, I'm not going to be able to express what I want, and I'm not going to get my needs met. And, so I'm not going to say anything, and, I'm going to put it all on them, and then expect all this stuff. And then when you don't get it, you feel, like you're not good enough. When the fact is that you're good enough all along. And sometimes we can ruin things when, we're not really looking at ourselves, when we're not embracing the real sovereign that we actually are, that you are okay, that you are taking care of yourself, and you're going to be okay no matter what. But at the same time, you want to be inspired by someone that really has what it takes, you know, to be able to meet you where you are. So there's this dance and this balance of, you know, being in flow, letting things be natural, and feeling into when is the right time to talk, when is the right time to say something, as opposed to putting all your cards out on the table right away, right? You don't have to rush into anything. Maybe you can just trust that things are happening exactly as they're meant to, and that everything is going to be fine, that this is going to be a good experience regardless of how long it lasts. This is going to be something that you'll be able to integrate as a feeling of, oh yes, I had, you know, this really went well. And now I know what it feels like to be in a place of ease and comfort around myself, being totally present with another. Thank you. I am so happy that you were here today. Thank you for hanging out with me. Don't forget to subscribe if you are liking these conversations, and I will see you very, very soon. Give me a thumbs up, as it is a wonderful way to say thank you and help out the channel. So I will see you again, love.